Hey guys, Evil Curse here, and welcome to my video on explaining how the trading card game Avatar: The Last Airbender works. I have been playing this game now for about 2 months. It is a very fun game. There isn't that much help for it online in terms of videos, so I thought I'd make a fairly in-depth, detailed one. This first video will be about two types of cards, known as chamber cards and ally cards. Don't worry, I'll be explaining these cards in depth, so just bear with the video and it will tell you everything you need to know. Okay, I'll start off with the chamber cards. Okay, so throughout different packs, I think it's only packs. There are some boxes that you can buy online, but I won't post a link to them in the description, but I will. Yeah, it's basically a little opener thing, two little compartments in it. You know, two little compartments in it like that, with about maybe 30-ish cards underneath them. Haven't seen one of them in years, but yeah, you can get one of those, and they have about two chamber cards and I think maybe a deck underneath that or so. I can't remember. But chamber cards, really, they tell you how the function of your deck will play out. Now there are a lot of different chamber cards that you can get. All the chamber cards are characters in the cartoon. So you have Aang, Katara, King Boomy, Iroh, Zuko, Zhao, but they all have different abilities that work depending on what type of cards you have in your deck. The chamber card is the card that you will base your deck around. You might notice down the side here that there are different symbols. We'll start off with the top one, which is strike, which is called a strike type. Okay? There are 3 different strike types. Move these closer up to the camera. I'll just close my curtains a bit. Don't know if you can see them, but we have the lion, the fox, and the bull. Now, we'll start off with the fox. Just like a fox, this deck will a deck built with fox type cards will the fox basically represents tricky and cunning moves. It's mostly used for prolonged gameplay, and the main aspect of them is to look through the top card or the top few cards of your deck. You can so as to give you the ability to rearrange your cards, or given other abilities, allows you to alter your opponent's deck as well. Let's go on to the bull now. The bull, but basically the strike types basically represent the animal that they're being represented by. So in the case of the bull, headstrong attacks, relies mostly on brute force. The attacks are very strong, but very expensive. And by expense, I'll show you all that in video 3, when I actually get around to showing a practice match. And finally, the lion. The lion represents a defensive fighting style. They protect what they're doing and attempt to win by building up for their own attacks, and whilst preventing your opponent from taking your strategy down. So you can get a few good attacks through with the lions. Not as strong as the bull, but it allows you to build up your field ready for your winning moves. Okay, we'll now move on to the second icon down here, which is called advantage types. I'll be explaining advantages in a lot more detail in the second video. But in terms of the symbol here, there are three different advantages: body, mind, and spirit. This one is I think this one, but that's the body down there. Sorry, I'm not that familiar with the symbols. Let me see. Well, this is Aang, so I'm just going to assume it's the spirit. So, spirit cards manipulate energy zones by charging and uncharging them. These effects depend on what your opponent does. These cards often depend on luck or faith, hence the name spirit. Okay, moving on to the mind. Mind cards allow manipulation of the top few cards of a deck. So you can look at your top few cards of your deck, rearrange them. This allows you to outwit your opponent. And finally, the body. Body cards are more physical than mental or spiritual cards, so as to give boost to attacks. And finally, the very last symbol. These are known as ally types. There are three different types of allies: light allies, shadow allies, and dark allies. Sorry about that. Light allies are basically as they sound. They're allies on the side of good and justice. Shadow allies, which are like cards like Uncle Iroh and Prince Zuko. When it comes to shadow allies, their alignment is in question, somewhere between good and evil, although they usually prefer freedom to the law. And finally, we have dark allies, which is symbolized by the moon. Light is symbolized by a sun. Shadowism is indicated by a sort of eclipse look like, and darkness is symbolized by the moon. Dark is as they sound. They're on the side of evil and corruption. So depending on your play style, it will impact what sort of deck you're able to build. Finally, the little symbol down here just underneath the name. These symbols often, no sorry, not often. These symbols refer to the nation that type of bender is from. So with Aang, you have the Air Nomads, Katara, you have the Water Nation, you have the Earth Kingdom with King Bumi, and the Fire Nation with Prince Zuko. There are cards that can only be used in a deck with a certain nation. So if you have a Prince Zuko deck, you can't use any Air Nomad abilities. That reason for this is because it grants abilities to your attacks, specifically to the chamber card that you're using. Okay. And now, finally, the most important part of a chamber unit, of a chamber card, is the actual card inside the chamber. I was actually struggling with how to play the chamber cards until I learnt it last night at 1 AM in the morning. When you play the game, you always start off with the symbols facing up. This will be explained further detail in episode 3. So you can activate a chamber card at any time, so long as you're able to pay the cost. On each of the cards in the deck, you have a similar side layout to the chamber card. So you have 3 different spaces. This will be explained in more depth in the third video. But so long as you can pay the energy cost for them, You can pay it at any time. After you've used a chamber, you put it back in, flip the card over, put it back down again, and then when you're able to pay for that one, you can play that one, and then flip back over. So that's the chamber cards. Now onto the allies. When it comes to the allies, you don't. When you draw the allies, they don't attack for you. They just give you certain boosts depending on what sort of chamber card you're using. So, with the light ally, where allies go will be explained in further depth in the third video. In the zone where Aang is the ally, okay, all your strikes have a +1 intercept. Now I will actually explain what that does so you have a better understanding. Here it is. This is just one of your more typical cards that you'll find. I explain strikes, strike and advantage cards in the next episode. But as an example for Aang's ability, when a card is revealed in Aang's zone, so you have 3 different zones. So you have 3 different zones. When a card is revealed in Aang's zone, your strikes have +1 intercept. The shield up at the top is known as the intercept, and that's the strike. So the basic attack is a 4. So if your opponent's attacking you with a strike of 5, since this is a 4, Aang's ability gives it another intercept, making that a 5, and giving you the ability to counter attack. This will be explained better in episode 2. So yeah, that's ally cards. They all have abilities that activate depending on what sort of chamber card you use. But when you reveal them from your deck, you'll need to pay the cost to play them. There are 3 different zones in your. There are 3 different zones on the field: red, yellow, and green. So in order to play Katara, you need to pay a green energy. Then you can put it in the zone, in the ally zone, on that zone row. Don't worry, all these things will make a lot more sense in episode 3. I promise you that. Okay, and that has been episode 1 for my how to play Avatar: The Last Airbender Quick Strike. Thank you for watching.